Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Thursday, the 30th day of September 2021. Well, it's a Jupiter day. It's Jupiter still in retrograde, so inner expansion and inner work. So lots of things to think about, particularly aligning with Monday's reading. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thanks so much for stopping by. What I do is on Thursdays, I'll kind of review a little bit about what we talked about on Monday, just to see if we're going to continue the flow of energy from that day or if we're going to switch up today to something else. But Monday's reading, we had Sewillow and Fortuna Major. So really our greatest fortune is found in spirit awareness. We had the Tower, the Four of Swords, and the Fool to start us out with the first three cards of influence. Our challenge card was the Ace of Swords, and the benefit card was the Eight of Pentacles. And so basically, we're having a transformative experience. We're in the middle of that, and we need to just pause a little bit and understand all the nature of it. Again, Jupiter retrograde gives us that moment to reconsider big things, and big things are typically perception based. Except that I think that it's true that perceptions originate in emotion. It starts there, and then you form your ideas about whatever it is you're experiencing or reacting to or feeling emotional about. So after you take the pause to consider what's going on, then with the Fool, you're going to then take that undeveloped potential and take that leap onto a new path or new perceptions or what have you, whatever it is that's manifesting for you. The challenge, of course, with the Ace of Swords is to let new perceptions take hold. But the Eight of Pentacles shows that we are letting go of the emotions that no longer serve us, that then give rise to the perceptions that need transforming. So how we see things, in other words, is shifting a little bit. Let me set that down there. How we're seeing things is shifting a little bit, or maybe a lot. And I've got two teacups here, one my herbal and one my English breakfast tea. But I'm still dealing with some damp condition in my throat and in my ears, and so I'm dealing with that herbally here. So anyhow, let's go ahead, and I've done some shuffling here. I'll just wait, and I'll do the rune first. Let's go ahead and take a rune from the Elder Futhark bag and see what the rune is for today. And remember, again, it was Sewillow on Monday. That's the rune of the will. Rune of the higher self. And it's signaling that, we've got to pay attention to who we actually are. We're not the ego functioning on overdrive. We're actually spirit that's supposed to be driving the ship here. So anyway, we have Ingus, which if we're talking about transformation and transforming perceptions, then Ingos is the perfect rune to follow with. As the 22nd rune of the Elder Futhark, you're looking at a 22 energy, which is a master number 22, which is the cosmic builder. It's profound change. So it's aligning quite well. And so it's a sudden release of energy. It's the seed. And so it's the sudden release of new ideas and new experiences and new awareness and new perceptions. So apparently, at least as far as Ingus is concerned, we're still on the same track we were on Monday. Now let's take a look at the Geomancy elemental runes here and see what we've got. Oh, well, we've got Caput Draconis, which is a new path, new direction. And I'll show you that one here. That's Caput Draconis, the head of the dragon, or the north node of the moon. And the north node of the moon, south node deals with karma or past experience, even past life experience, whereas the north node of the moon deals with the future. And so, the sudden release of something new, perception-based, awareness-based, experience-based, going forward. So we'll set those aside, and we will see if the cards are going to give us a little more information on that. I like to have the runes guide the reading, with the tarot cards just giving us more details on what that really looks like for the next few days until we meet again on Monday. So I hope you click subscribe if you haven't, and come back and just kind of hang with all of us here, and who like to look at and see how the runes and tarot can influence our lives. Give us suggestions of things to consider mostly. I'm not really so much about prediction, although if the cards are really showing it, then we talk a little bit about that. But mostly I'm just concerned with the general influences that are affecting all of us. And there just seem to be so many these days, you know, with dealing with COVID and the animosity that seems to be fueling so many odd things that are happening right now. So anyhow, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards and we'll talk about those. Well, we're dealing with swords, wands, and cups. So the air element, the fire element, and the water element. So that's cool. We start, though, with the 8 of, let's see, 6 and 8's 14. So that's a 5 energy. So we've got a 5 numerology. So change, protection, freedom versus restriction. So maybe some of our perceptions are surrounding, that are changing or transforming, have to do with those kinds of issues. But here we have the 8 of Swords, where we see a woman in a deep or a fiery, we'll say fiery red dress. You see what looks like red soppy sand around her. She's bound, she's blindfolded. You see swords surrounding her, at least partially. When we talk about strength, or talk about the numerology of 8, you're talking about material achievement and recognition and leadership, but you're also talking about strength. The strength card in tarot is card 8 of the major arcana. And so you're really looking at the strength to either turn your back to the noise around you and develop your own perceptions. And see here, this could even be an expression of Jupiter retrograde, couldn't it? Where she's doing some inner work, maybe. But the other thing that it can mean is that you're bound by your own perceptions. And it's showing us that so you can look at this both inner and outer. Either something's coming in on her that she doesn't want to see anymore or do anymore. Who is calling me? Unknown. We'll decline that. She's either talking about external things coming in on her that she needs to close off. We're going to decline that again. That she either has to let go of, or she has to stop getting herself all bound up in her own perceptions to keep her from moving forward and experiencing the transformation the Tower gave her on Monday. So that's probably what it's talking about. The next one is the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen, of course, is from the court. Now, she is going to be somebody who is talented. She's successful. She's an older woman in authority. She sits on her throne. And again, you're looking at the same red here behind her in her coat of arms up there on the back part of her throne. She's holding a sunflower for vitality and new beginnings, really. In her left hand, and in her right hand she's holding a staff. You see her little cat right there. You see the lions on either side of her there on the armrests of her throne. But she's dynamic. She can be strict. She can have some authority to her. She demands honesty. She like the Queen of Swords. She demands integrity. She's successful. She's also generous. And so we'll see let's just set her aside for the moment. Because I think that we're going to see a pattern here with the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups is about shared abundance. You see Gebo, the rune Gebo right there, with just balanced energy exchange with others. You see in each of the golden chalices, you see a white lily, or a white flower of sorts. We'll call it a lily. It's not a rose. but it symbolizes purity. And here she's offering a cup to and it wasn't all that long ago that it occurred to me. I've always read this as this is the woman passing by. But is it? Is she offering the cup to this woman? So again, you're talking about reciprocity. We don't really know. I've always read it as this is the one who's giving the chalice to this woman who's passing by, but I have to wonder. Especially with Gebo here being balanced energy exchange or the gift or reciprocity. And here we have the 6 is about harmony or shared path or shared purpose. And in this case, I think just giving a gift of offering, an offering of love, sharing a loving experience with another person. So that's why I wanted to wait on the Queen of Wands, because I think that it further defines the generosity aspect of the Queen. But the word integrity keeps coming back into my head. So I think that perhaps the transition and the transformation that was perception based on Monday really probably is going to center on how much integrity we have going forward. If you think about Cauda Draconis, the opposite or complement of Caput, again, you're looking at the effect of karma on our actions. Perhaps the transformation is moving us out of that and into new awareness that's soul-based, that's higher self-based, that's spirit-based. Let's take a look at the card that's going to challenge us, though. So the idea is you don't get in the way of the new, of the transformative effect of Monday's influences on shifting perception and shifting what we know to be true. We have a lot of people right now that seem to want to ignore what science says and sort of go along their own path toward whatever they think the virus is and whatever the what we need to do to get past it is. It's causing great conflict. It's causing great consternation. It's keeping the nation sick. It's affecting the hospitals. In other words, there's a lot of cause and effect to that. And I love, I don't know who said it. Well, it might have been Rachel Maddow on her show, but I think other people have said it too. And it really comes down to you have the right to choose your way and to think however you want to think about things. The problem is when it affects other people, then there's consequences, isn't there? You don't have the right to harm anybody else in the process. You can think your own thoughts, you can make your own decisions, but again, as long as it affects only you, that's one thing. But the second it starts affecting other people, it is no longer simply about you. And you have to be able to understand, do I proceed on in compassion and awareness, that's coming from spirit, or do I let the ego drive all of my perceptions, which is what I think that we have happening right now. Ego is in full force, and people that believe this way don't seem to understand, or maybe they don't care what the effect is they have on others. The rest of us are just supposed to stay in our homes so they can go out and live their lives as they choose. Well, that's not realistic. It's not fair. It's not coming from a higher self perspective. It's coming solely from ego. So, and I think with the Tower beginning the week's reading, basically, because it was the first card of Monday's reading, I think what it's telling us is that there has to be something profound come in here. Spirit's got to come in and awaken us, because, I'm not everybody, because there's a bunch of them. I think probably more of us are a little more awake than the other ones are. But we understand that we're in this together. Again, sharing the love and reciprocity here of the 6 of Cups, I think is the perfect example for that. Let's take a look, though, at the challenge card. And for the next 2 cards, the last 2 cards of the reading, I'm going to take the 13th card each time. And the reason I do that is for randomness sake. But I was born on the 13th of October, and everything seems to happen to me in 13s. I don't know why. When I look up at the time, I will look up right at 10:13. It's weird. I used to wake up at 3:13 every morning for like 5 years. This went on, and I'm not sure if it was about alerting me that there needs to be a different balance in my life, or what have you. But it was just odd that this would happen. So the challenge here is the Ten of Cups. Allowing love and harmony to be and tradition and home and family and the preservation of that. In a sense, the family is you've got a little line of demarcation here, and here they are, mom and dad are here and the kids are dancing, and there's the new home, and you've got the 10 chalices over the rainbow, right? So it's honor, it's contentment, it's home, it's family, it's love. In other words, the challenge is to remember that as we embark on this new path of transformation, we have to understand that we're all one, and that we all share in the effect of the actions that are either soul-based or ego-based, whatever those end up being. That there's an effect on other people, that it's not simply about us. And the challenge is to remember that. The challenge is to be able to think, it's in the family. The parents have to think about the whole family, have to think about the children. They have to think about providing for the entire family unit, right? Well, if you extend that onto humanity, we have to do the same thing. We have to be able to think about those less fortunate. We have to lift them up. Those that are more fortunate. We have such a disparity, especially, it's all over the world, but particularly in this country, where the billionaire class wants to run everything, and they do whatever they have to do to make that happen. We've been seeing that now since, probably before that, but there seemed to be a real shift when Reagan became president, and the whole trickle-down economic scam that he tried to perpetrate on the country, and he did. And the whole idea that we're just all supposed to sit back and just wait for the little crumbs to fall our way. Well, no, that didn't happen. And now we don't have much of a middle class anymore, right? So there's an effect, when it's political and you have somebody that can affect great change in a country. Well, again, cause and effect. How did that work out? Well, it didn't work out very well. So why would we ever want to continue it, right? And yet you have one side of the political equation that seems to want to do that, while the other just wants to build bridges and put in broadband for people and give them health care and things like that. In other words, if we're going to have tax dollars, why don't we have it going to lift the entire society instead of letting it just benefit a few billionaires and the politicians that they have in their pockets, you see? So again, cause and effect that not only is about the country, but it actually affects each one of us. Well, the benefit card, we still don't have any cards of Earth here, so no pentacles at all. So it's really about the manifesting energies before it comes to Earth, and so realistically, this is really still a soul-based reading. If you think about the rune Alyi's, where it looks, it's the elk, it's like this and down. So you've got 3 antlers, 3 points up top, and that's air, fire, and water, and then earth is down below. And so it's bringing all of those energies of manifestation into form. And that's kind of what, this reading really mirrors, I would say. But here we have the 9 of Wands. So in a way, you can look at this as support. The battle's over. 9 is endings and completion. He's bruised and battered, and here he's still wearing the same red as found here, getting in the way of ourselves. So maybe, perception, both inner and outer, has been too much. Or maybe you have more support than you realize from people you know. The line of demarcation, this is now, this is then. But on the other hand, if you want to think about this as new creative experiences, it's possible that the benefit is that you can, from here, about not getting in the way of yourself and not getting in the way of new perceptions manifesting, you realize that the inner battle is over. You could think about this as outer and inner if you wanted to. And so the idea of mind, body, spirit balance, of letting spirit control the process, the fire element can be thought of as that, as spirit coming in and saying, okay, I need to take over this moment so that you actually understand what needs to happen here and what the message is that you're supposed to be getting out of this. Not getting so wrapped up in ego and so wrapped up in perception that you can't see the higher purpose involved. So again, I think that this aligns with Monday's reading of transformation and letting a new path unfold in that regard. But that I think that it's reminding us with the 8 that we don't want to get in the way of any of that. We want to look away from the perceptions of the past, because again, most of this is behind her. Most of these swords are behind her, just like they are here in the 9. Again, with the inner work that we're doing right now, with the inner revelation that's spirit-based, I have to think that we're getting things in order now, and we're kind of he's kind of looking back, sort of kind of like, ooh, do I really have support? Is it really there? But that's the idea, when things are just beginning to form, like we have here with Ingus. Ingus is an interesting rune. It's basically made up of Kenaz turned inward, and I'll draw it out and explode it for you. Here's Ingus. All right, it's like a diamond. It can also be written this way, depending on the particular Futhark you're using. But either way, you're still talking Kenaz in all directions. Only here, in this particular way, it's the light of spirit invoking inward. Again, dealing with perceptions, dealing with who we are here and how we perceive our interactions and our experiences. How are we doing that? Is it coming from spirit? Is it coming from a higher awareness, or is ego, doing the whole thing? This other way, you have the expression inward and outward of the light of spirit. And it's literally, the rune is either way you write it, either way you draw it, it is the expression of higher self or spirit bringing the light to you. The Kenaz is the torch or the light of spirit. And how you express that perception-wise, how you think about things, and then your behavior that results, the choices you make, the decisions you make, all of that has to reflect spirit if we want that transformation from Monday's Tower card to really, really take effect and infuse our experiences, infuse our emotions, infuse our perceptions with the Creator's loving expression of all that is, right? So that's it, I think. I think we've done it. And again, one more thing. Let me just double check something here on the 9 of Wands. Yeah, I mean, inner battle. So I think, it is an inner battle to try to manifest different perceptions, to transform things, to let go of emotions that no longer serve, and try to find another way of experiencing things, another way of seeing things. If this is applying to the struggle that you're having over how to keep safe from the virus and to keep other people safe, understand that the keeping other people safe is part of it. And if folks could just do that one thing, we would see a massive transformative shift. We would stop trying to bother the children at school. We would keep them safe. That this would be our focus on things, is to keep people safe, and until this is done, because let's face it, 2 years of this is ridiculous. So if it likely has something to do with that, but if not, just go through your life here and think about the kinds of things that, maybe some realizations that you've been having, and how that's making things shift for you, and allow that shift to happen, allow that new path to form. So anyhow, thanks for watching. And check out the Esoteric Influences and Magical Influences on the blog on Sunday. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can go over to Stepping Aside. I've got links below the video here. And over on the side panel, the left side panel, well, there's only one side panel. It's on the left anyway. Up toward the top, just scroll down a little bit, and you'll see sign up for the newsletter here. Just put your email in there, and it goes to my newsletter software, and it collects all that, and then I just send that out on Saturday if you want that in your inbox ahead of time. If you don't, that's fine too. It's just there if you want it. And I guess that's it. Again, all the links to where I am are below the video. Click subscribe if you would. I would love that. And give it a like if you'll do that as well. That'd be awesome. And be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.